Suppose that two persons who are separated by a wall and couldn't see each other wants to prove that they possess the same number, this one in red rectangle, 10101101, without giving out that number to each other, yet they need to prove that they have the same number. They need to prove that they have the same understanding without giving out that understanding. Let us begin. Suppose that Juliet will not exert an effort and she will just give out her number to whoever is on the other side of the wall, assuming that it is Romeo. Well, it could be another person, an imposter. The next procedure, they could complete the authentication, but because the first step is a mistake, then the whole communication is already compromised. Secondly, suppose that Juliet is 100% sure that it is Romeo on the other side of the wall. This could be some sort of certificate and so on. And she will send her number to Romeo. She will send this number to Romeo to the wall. Then a hacker could be listening on the wall and intercept the message, and the hacker will have a copy of the secret number that Romeo and Juliet have. So that won't work. So we can see now that Romeo and Juliet needs to prove that they have the same number, that they have the same understanding without giving out that number. Let us begin. Both persons needs to generate random number. This is Juliet's random number. It could be any number. It's random. This is Romeo's random number. Okay. Before I continue on, let me explain a little bit what an XOR operation is. An XOR operation is a simple operation such that if the two numbers are the same, 1 XOR 1, then the result is 0 because they are the same. Like if they are the same, then the result is 0. But if they are different, like that, then the result is 1. So this is an XOR operation. It's an operation of two numbers such that if the two of them are the same, then the result is 0. It will only become 1 if the two numbers are different. So let us continue. Mario generated his random number here. He needs to XOR that with his personal number here. You can see now that since in the first column they are the same, so the result is 0. Here in the fourth column they are different, and so the result is 1. And you can understand now why the result of that operation is this number, because of the XOR operation. The first message in the 3-pass mutual authentication begins when Juliet sends out a start signal. The start signal does not contain any data except that it is only a signal to tell Romeo that the operation must begin. Romeo shall respond with the result of his operation here, this number, and Juliet, when receiving that number, shall perform an XOR operation using her key and gets the result here in blue. You can begin to see here that Juliet is able to compute Romeo's random number. However, on the first phase of the communication, nothing is proven yet. To proceed to the second phase of communication, here, Juliet has to perform additional steps. She needs to rotate this number to the left. Rotating to the left means that this last digit here will be positioned here when the rotation is complete. And so the result of the rotate left operation will be this one. You can try that on a piece of paper to see for yourself. Then, in addition to this result, Juliet will concatenate with her random number here, and the entire number here, she needs to XOR that with her key. And because the number is longer, then she will need to repeatedly use her key 2 times to perform the XOR operation, which will result to this number. Juliet then sends a message to Mario, the result of her computation. When Romeo, I mean to refer Romeo, shall receive that number, and Romeo shall perform the same XOR operation using Romeo's secret key, and would give Romeo this result. You'll notice that from this result of the second step, Romeo now also computed Juliet's random number. In addition, when Romeo performs a rotation of this result here to the right, Romeo shall discover his own random number here, and therefore Romeo can prove that Juliet is on the other side of the wall, that she is communicating to a person that shares his key. However, Juliet does not know yet anything about Romeo. Take note that when Juliet rotated this number here to the left, Romeo is rotating that number here to the right. This piece of a priori knowledge which are information that needs to be known in advance, is what you call as cipher suites. Cipher suites are pieces of information that is agreed by two parties, such as that when you access an HTTPS website, the two, the client and the server, agrees on the cipher suites to have a common agreement on the hash algorithm and the key length. Without a common agreement known in advance, no secure communication is possible. So because Juliet rotated left here, then Romeo rotated right here, and he's able to reconstruct and discovered his own random number, and thus Romeo can prove that on the other side of the wall is Juliet. Now, the third piece of the procedure is for Juliet to know that on the other side of the wall is Romeo, because Romeo already has Juliet's random number here. Romeo shall perform a, a rotate left of that number, which would be this one, rotating left, and then XOR that with his shared key here, which will result to this number. Romeo will then give that number back to Juliet, and when Juliet receives it, Juliet shall do one final climax XOR operation here, which will give this result here. And because she knew that Mario is rotating left here, then Juliet, when rotating right here, eventually finds out to her pleasure that it is her very own random number, and therefore Juliet can only conclude beyond reasonable doubt that on the other side of the wall is the Romeo who shared the same number that she has. Therefore, upon completion of the three-pass mutual authentication, both Romeo and Juliet has proven mathematically after exerting some amount of effort, they have proven that they have the same understanding. That is all. I hope you learned a lesson in real life, which is shown also and proven